Netanyahu was actually compared last week by as the same as former Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, and actually I see the same in a point of Israel, that he's a strong leader, he has a strong government, and we don't see it fall every Monday or Tuesday. But I think the world looks at it, they want Prime Minister Netanyahu to actually act as Ariel Sharon's mistake or the disengagement of Gaza, and they want to implant the same thing for Prime Minister Netanyahu to actually declare Israel a removal until the 1967 border and the division of Jerusalem, and not the Israeli public, and I guess not any Israeli leader would agree to that. So we will never just satisfy the whole world.
No, and I think that is, as they would say, Israel's cost to bear. It is a reality that world opinion will not be there for Israel. There are times in our history when world opinion has come around. There's times in Israel's history rather, when world opinion has been in the right place, particularly after '67. That being said, the audience here, as I said, is not Ban Ki-moon. It is not the UN Human Rights, the so-called Human Rights Council. The audience here is one that is much more finite and really needs to be much more focused on, and I think Netanyahu is more focused on Israel's survival rather than being focused on public opinion polls or Nobel Prizes or what people think in Davos.
Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman and Russian experts say that peace will not occur in the next 16 to 30 years. In the past, as we all know, Israel knew to make peace with the courageous leaders in Egypt and in Jordan. Do you think Israel should do everything, despite all pessimistic signs and the lack of the Palestinian Authority leadership, to make decisions? Or we have actually learned from our experience in Gaza that the IDF presence is a security benefit for both, for Israel and the Palestinian Authority government. And as we see right now, the West Bank is in its best situation, the economy growing by 8%, and the daily life going on as never before. So we actually see the status quo. It's not the status quo, but the presence of the IDF in the West Bank is actually a benefit for the Palestinians too.
I think that the presence of the IDF in the West Bank is certainly a benefit to Abbas. I think it keeps, as you've said, it keeps some level of stability. It allows Abbas and the PA to live without fear of Hamas or others who are trying to destroy any sort of calm from destroying the economy and the well-being in the West Bank. The 2 points I'd want to make. One is that when Netanyahu was running for prime minister, rather than talking about a peace process, what he was interested in was talking about an economic process, and that is, and this makes sense when you think of Netanyahu as a free marketeer, as someone who believes in free markets and in the economy, that the best way to bring about peace is to give Palestinian kids options that make more sense than blowing themselves up. Give them jobs, give them economic incentives, give them economic growth, have a situation where they can be successful, where their kids can be more successful than they are, where they have a future. And clearly there are forces in the Arab world generally and in Palestinian society specifically that don't want there to be a road out of this, who don't want there to be successful, happy Palestinians living in the West Bank, but would rather this be continual war and be a situation where the Israeli state is just pushed into the sea. The second point I would make is one to Foreign Minister Lieberman's comment is, when I was growing up, and I don't know how old you are, Jacob, but when I was growing up, I never thought the Cold War would end. I never thought that we would live in a situation where there weren't Soviet missiles pointed at the United States. And lo and behold, over a 2 or 3 year period of perestroika and glasnost, the Cold War ended. Certainly there are threats in the world today that we didn't anticipate then. Certainly, Russia is different today than it was in the days after the wall fell. But I think as it relates to a war that looked like it would go on forever, that was one that stopped, that we didn't anticipate. Second example, similar, is the Northern Ireland situation. This is something that George Mitchell talks about when he was the peace envoy for the Middle East under President Clinton. He was there for 500 days, and he said for 500 days, for 499 days, there was no peace. There was no prospect for peace. On the Monday before the Friday of the Good Friday Agreement, the Dublin Times, the newspaper in Dublin, editorialized about why Mitchell was wasting everybody's time, that peace was never going to happen, that the conflict was too intractable. And then lo and behold, Mitchell says, on a given day, around a given table, the right people were sitting there, there was sun shining, and there was a rainbow, and for whatever reason, the right people around the right table with the right facts and the right situation. So I'm a Jew, and I think to survive as a Jew, you have to be an optimist. And so I am an optimist that at some point, hopefully not 16 years or 60 years from now, but sooner, the right people will be sitting around the right tables, the right sun will be shining, the right rainbow will be shining, and we'll be in a place where the Arabs will realize that Israel is here for good, and that Israel is interested in its survival, and that people in the region can live in peace. And so I am an optimist. I think if we were not optimists as people, we never would have left Egypt, and we could go on through the whole story of our Jewish people and how our survival has really been made necessary by the fact that we thought that the glass was half full, and that there was a prize at the end of the rainbow, and that there was a reason to keep going. And so, despite the foibles, despite the roadblocks along the way, I do think that if we focus on there being a better future, that God willing, there will be one.
Finally, what role does the U.S. Jewish communities and organizations have impact on the U.S.-Israel relationship, from one side to defend Israel as we are Jewish people, and from the other side also to reduce pressure from the U.S. administration?
Well, I think that's another good question. The reason that the United States and Israel are such good friends and are such strategic partners, and have been since Harry Truman recognized Israel a few minutes after Israel declared its own independence in 1948, is not because of the American Jewish community, but rather it's because of shared values and shared goals that are held by the United States and by the state of Israel. Israel is a democracy. Israel is a state that, again, is hopeful and has an entrepreneurial zeal and spirit and freedom that's very similar to that we enjoy here in the United States. And so the American Jewish community, I think, is well positioned to ensure, as Americans, that America recognizes and continues to recognize the importance of Israel and the strategic relationship that the United States has with Israel. But it really is not a situation where we're tilting the scale one way or another, but rather there's really an intrinsic value that stems from the relationship between the U.S. and Israel. In fact, Ambassador Oren's last book, when he talks about American foreign policy making as it relates to the Middle East for the last 200 years, talks about that connection way before 1948, way before Zionism, when George Washington and John Adams and their successors all had this connection with the Holy Land and with the Jewish people, and that's something that will continue to live on, and is something that really is an intrinsic part of who we are as Americans.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dara, for taking the time. We hope to have you on this program in the future. God bless you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you very much, and Shabbat Shalom.